Welcome to my YouTube space. I am the Kenyan Explorer, and in today's video, I just want to react on the comment section that I came across in my YouTube space from one of my fans. And today, let us discuss. Someone asked me why and how can the greedy politicians, how can the greedy African politician can learn and try to follow the footsteps of Ibrahim Traore, Thomas Sankara, and of some leaders who try to defend the dignity of Africa and try to take Africa beyond its level. How can the African leaders change? The reason we always talk about changing or rebuilding the continent of Africa, it's not a bad idea. It is very good idea that everyone is hoping for this idea to come true so that we can rebuild the continent of Africa and fix the problem where it has been caused. But before we focus in this issue or this main agenda of rebuilding Africa, we have to fix some small issues that has been already damaged long time ago. Of course, most of the African leaders are following democracy. Most of the African leaders are following constitution. And because, constitution and democracy provides the rights to the politicians, this democracy does not apply anything to the common citizen, but only applies and guides the politician on how they can maintain their positions, on how they can maintain and fight to return their victories and so on, and some big agendas that are favoring them. At this point, Africa as a continent, or let me focus and base in the country of Kenya, where the citizens are now under the misery of life. We have the leaders who are focused every day talking about the rebuilding of a Kenyan economy and trying to take a Kenyan economy and infrastructure to the next level. But how can this be possible? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. How can this be possible? First, we have several leaders who ruled this country, the country of Kenya. Every leader who came to the power tried to play his part. There are some who tried to rebuild the country. There are some who tried to boost the economy. There are some who tried and have vision for the country and the interest of the citizens. But few of them tried to achieve their agendas, at least quarter of it. When I talk about the former or the late President Mwai Kibaki, this is the leader who tried to build and rebuild the economy of the country and tried to rebuild the infrastructures. When we talk about rebuilding economy and rebuilding the continent of Africa, we have to focus in these basic issues and these basic problems that are affecting the citizens and the common citizens and people of the African continent. At this point, African continent or African countries are not the one who should be running and trying to create chances and try to find the places in Western countries for its citizens or its youths to go and find the jobs there. We are experiencing massive killings and massive deaths across our Mediterranean seas. The youths are dying every day. The scandals and these scenes and scenarios of deaths are arising and being reported every day for the youths who are trying to cross the borders and go try to look something to rebuild their life. This is not rebuilding of African continent. This is not the rebuilding of African states. This is destruction. And before we focus in the main agenda of rebuilding Africa, the first thing we have to do, our citizens, we have first to cover the big holes that has been created there for a very long time that has passed. We have first to fix the economy. We have to create jobs so that this young generation that are growing every day, we have to, as the government has to provide us spaces and create small jobs for at least for these young or these youths who are coming out of school. They can find something to do, support the smaller businesses, support the farmers with the products and everything that they can support their production, their land production. By doing this will reduce the chances of our young generation dying early, trying to go and find some lives somewhere else outside our countries. We are experiencing massive deaths from our youths who are trying to go in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai, they are in Qatar, just because they are going, crossing sea and lakes to go and try to find something to do with their life. This is all being caused because with their governments, because no opportunities is being found in their governments. So if the government cannot be able to focus first on how they can create even smaller jobs for the citizens, for the youths, to encourage these youths, when the government now decides to create some jobs and job opportunities to the citizens, this means the citizens are going to be okay. They are going to be busy. They are going to make something that can sustain their life. They're going to rebuild the economy of the country. And by doing this, no one will be thinking of going in these countries, in these Arab countries, to go look for jobs, which they are going to look at for the things that are causing their deaths, causing problems to their families. African youths has gone to school. They have achieved the education. They have greater minds, and these are the minds that are being used in some countries to rebuild some countries, while their own countries are always being poor and remain poor. What Ibrahim Traore did, I personally, I am the big fan of Ibrahim Traore, and I am behind of what he is trying to do, because this guy is not only fighting for the Burkina Faso, but he is trying to advocate the African leaders to stop being puppets, to stop being greedy, but try and fight for the interest of their citizens. But now the African leaders, they are only thinking about their affairs. They are not bothered for their citizens. They are not even thinking about the people who elect them and put them in their offices. What Ibrahim Traore and what happened to Burkina Faso was not a democratic way. We agree that. But yes, we support that. Why? Because what he is trying to do at this point, since the time he came to the office, he has never think of enriching and getting more wealth from the government. Ibrahim Traore has never intended or like to expose himself with so even though Ibrahim Traore, what he did was not a democracy, but the African leaders, what they were supposed to do was just to learn something from this guy, was just to learn from this leader, because Ibrahim Traore, if you can remember, in some just a year ago, the politician in Burkina Faso were trying to force him out of the office they try to force him to step down so that he can allow the democratic way to take place and let the citizens choose or select their leaders of their choice. Those were the politicians. But because the citizens were satisfied with the leadership that they were getting from this leader, they were forced to go to the streets and start to demonstrate, claiming that Ibrahim Traore should extend to his term in office. Let me ask you today, in your country, wherever you are watching from, your country today, if the politicians or a group of people from the government arise and force the president to resign or to step down, and maybe he let some people to come and try to vie for this seat from your country, do you think you as the citizens can come out and say that no, we are okay with our leader? We are requesting or we are demanding for him or her to extend his term. Can it be possible in your country? Tell me to the comment section. For me and in my country, from my country, this will not be able, and it can never happen. Why? Because it is just a few years since our president came to the office, but the citizens started complaining earlier, even before a year, as they wanted him to step down. Why? Because he has delivered nothing to the citizens. All he is doing is promising
launching of projects that were never even able to be started or completed, even a single of it.
Promising the promises that never came to pass. So at this time, Africans have to do what is required, so at least to save the continent of Africa from whatever the condition is going. Because when we take a look at the condition and the direction Africa is taking, it's not good. It's not even giving hopes to the citizens, because what we are worrying today, what you have to worry today, is about our generation. Are we ready to allow our generation who will come and face the life of our ancestors? Are we ready to allow our citizens or our generation to come who will come to come and experience the life and kind of slave trades? We should not allow that to happen. And this is the time, this is the only time that we have, that we can use to make and correct where everything gone wrong. This is the time that we have to heal our wounds where we get injured long time ago. Africa is being underrated because of the kind of the leaders we are having in our offices, because the mistakes the Africa is doing, and the Africans at large, we are electing the worst to lead the nations. These are the major problems. These are the people who never cared or bothered or reflects back on what happens to the continent of Africa. We as the young generation, this is our time and this is our war. We have to fight until the last drop of our blood. We have to save Africa from the wrong direction that is heading to. We have to bring back and reclaim what belongs to the Africa. This is the time that I am urging every youth to stand up and support the leader that we feel that he is trying to do something that can save Africa from the hand of the people who are not of the goodwill and intention to the continent of Africa. Because if we don't do so, then our generation, the generation to come, will face a lot and hard for the life of Africa and the life that they will experience. Until next episode, I don't know if I said something wrong. From wherever you're watching, tell me what you think. What do you think? What do you feel that African leaders can do so that they can follow the footsteps, even though Ibrahim Traore, what he did was not a democratic, but what matters today and what matters here is he doing something right at this point? What he's doing, do you think, is something that is helpful to the continent of Africa and for the Africans at large? We, the Africans, have to be at this point matured enough when it comes to the political matters, because since the independence and since the freedom of African continents, this is a long time that we were supposed to be talking every time, exposing the good things that are being happen here in Africa, but not criticizing what is happening at this point. Don't forget to subscribe to Kenyan Explorer. Here is the place to be. Nice time, my friends.